Good morning everybody, Coulter here. In today's bedding plant production guide, I want to show you and tell you a little bit about fertilizer injectors like my trusty Dosatron right here. More on that after the intro. Alright, so today I want to go over a couple of things as far as this fertilizer injector goes, and I will show you which one I have right now. The Dosatron makes all different sizes. So this one here is actually a 14 gallon a minute unit. I believe this is their smallest unit. They run a little over $500. They have definitely been worth it for us. We used to mix a little bit at a time in cans and water once a week with a heavier concentration. The issue with that being it was a little too hot for some stuff at some stages, or if it had been a cloudy week, we didn't need water at that point, and so we didn't, and then it didn't happen for a week. And this has upped our game, professionally speaking, a lot. So I'll show you a little bit of how it's set up here. We have our water source, which is the well water from a hydrant here. We run up, we run over here to just a clean bypass, so that if I need to just put a hose on and get clean water at any time while this is hooked up, I can. That's not super useful to me anymore, but occasionally I use it. And then we come up over here, we come through an inline mesh filter. This is, I think, a 200 screen mesh inside, so it's a sediment bowl with a mesh filter in it. Then the water comes up and it comes to this T. Now this T, we decide whether we want to send the water through the injector or bypass the injector to our mains here. And this is my main, or this is just a port that I use if I need a little bit to hydrate the media in my soil mixer when we're mixing up soil, or if I'm filling different things, or sometimes I need fertilized water for something, or I need to clean out the system and flush it a little bit. This works really good for that. And then this one here, this actually comes up, it splits off so I can take it outside to my other greenhouses. So I only have to have one injector for all my operation. And the other one goes down here, and I tie my hose in the middle of the greenhouse so I can run a shorter hose and I can reach everything more comfortably in the greenhouse. So I'll show you kind of how we have this set up. I'm going to show you how I like to mix solution. So my valve here is open to run fertilizer through the injector. I have my injector set to 1 to 200 ratio. And that's kind of important. These all are ratios. On the back side of this column, there are actually percentages if you want to figure percentage. We're running a 100 parts per million mix. So I'll tank mix some solution in a bucket down here, and then I will feed that at a very diluted rate with the injector into my mains for watering. So in the end, we want 100 parts per million in this greenhouse and the other greenhouses. And so what we're going to do is I actually have a note here so I know exactly how much I need. So for 100 parts per million, my math says set the injector to 1 to 200 and run 3.22 pounds or 3 pounds 3.5 ounces of Jack's 21-5-20 all-purpose professional mix fertilizer. We talked about that one a little bit in my bulk mixing or tank mixing fertilizer video. Anyhow, if I need to increase my feed rate for my constant feed, I can just actually take this 1 to 200 ratio and I can dial it back. So if I want 200 parts per million, I will actually set this at a 1 to 100 ratio, because that's basically effectively doubling the strength. That's doubling the amount it pulls out of my concentrate bucket. It's a little counterintuitive at first glance, but when you do the math, it always comes out the same and it always makes sense. So I've got my fertilizer. This is my 3.22 pounds Jack's, and I'm going to pull the lid off my bucket. Now you want a clean bucket. This here is the inlet hose for the injector's fertilizer solution. It's got a filter on the end there, and it's got like a little ball float valve in it so that it can't, so the injector can't push water back down. So at the end of that hose, it's like a little check valve kind of. So once it pulls solution up into the hose, it can't drain back down, which is really handy. So I've got my bucket. Just a clean 5-gallon bucket works. We're a smaller operation. Once we get all the greenhouses filled though, I have to fill this a couple times a week. I'm thinking I will probably try to put a bigger reservoir in here for concentrated solution. We're gonna put 4 gallons of water in here to get our correct numbers with our concentrations and stuff. If you have access to something like this, this is a Save-A-Drop. These are really handy. This will meter water as you're flowing it through it. I want to put 4 gallons of water in my bucket. Otherwise, what I would do is I just use one of these. There's a 1 gallon mark on the side, and I'll just fill that 4 times. So I will fill this bucket up here. See if I can do it with one hand or not. I think I'm actually going to set it down. There we go. So you can see it actually works pretty good. And they're usually right on target as far as their flow rate. You can see the bucket's filling up nicely. Alright, 3.8 gallons, 4 gallons, just like that. Now, I have measured these buckets before, and that's pretty much exactly 4 gallons. So, I'm going to take my fertilizer, I'm going to pour it in. Then, I'm going to take my trusty piece of pipe, and we're going to mix it up. We want to make sure that this is completely and entirely mixed. Very important that it's a completely dissolved solution to make sure that we get the best results possible, most even watering possible. You can feel the fertilizer in the bottom of the bucket. You know it hasn't dissolved completely when you can still feel it. And there's a lot of fertilizer for this much water. Technically, this mix, you can put a little over 4 gallons, or 4 pounds rather, of fertilizer per gallon of water before the water can't dissolve anymore because of how many minerals are in it. Okay, all mixed up. Now, we will put our lid back on our bucket. Just like that. Now, we will actually loosen this little set nut on the bottom of the injector, and we will spin it up to a more concentrated rate, just so that we can more quickly get the solution brought up into the injector. That should work. 1 to 64, that's pretty good. That means 64 gallons of water flowing through your watering wand will give you 1 gallon of solution. Unhook my wand. I don't need it hooked up. I'm actually going to take this outside, and we're going to let it run outside freely for a minute. And what that's going to do for us is we'll come in here and monitor the injector intake line to see, so we can stop the flow as soon as we start getting water into it, so we're not wasting solution. Just take this, set it in a spot where it's not going to build a nasty chunk of ice for us. It's been pretty cold here actually. About 0 at night or even below 0. So you can see that solution is just pumping right up into the machine. And you'll hear it change a little. Now we're pumping liquid so we can shut it off. Now we have currently 1 to 64 of our solution, but we want 1 to 200, so we're gonna just dial this back down quick. It's 1 to 100, 120, 1 to 128. What's nice about this setting right here, 100, 1 to 128, is that you can actually calibrate the system to make sure it's working. So you take exactly 1 gallon of water, you put it in a container, you drop the end of this in, and then you run, not a gallon, an ounce of water. You pull the filter off, set the end of the clear tube, the intake tube, just in that 1 ounce, and then you run 1 gallon of water through, and that should exactly pull 1 ounce of fluid out of your test cup. And then you know that your injector is properly calibrated, which generally means more that nothing's falling apart inside of it. You can rebuild these, which is nice. They're not cheap tools, but they'll last many, many years, and they're not too hard to rebuild. So we'll just set this down here, 1 to 200. So you can see 1 to 200. And we'll set the nut. That just makes it a little harder to turn this. One thing to note, you should never adjust your injector while somebody's watering with water through it. That can damage equipment inside the injector. Also kind of whacks your rates a bit. So we'll grab our wand handle here, tap the snow off. Should be good to go. Now, I don't need to water today. It's pretty overcast, and it has been. Yesterday was sunny, but until yesterday we've had a few days with some not great weather. So I'm going to not really show you so much how to water with it today, but we will be doing a video on watering here at some point soon. And you can see we started potting quite a bit of stuff. We've got some Gerberry daisies here. They're pretty happy. A lot of baskets. This is only about half or a little less than half of our baskets, but we'll be doing some more farm updates soon. Anyways, I really hope this helped. Please like and subscribe if you found this information useful or helpful. And if you're just starting out, please feel free to ask any questions you want down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. That's why we're here. We're here to help anybody who's just starting and doesn't know where to start. And we want to make sure that those people can get a better start than we had. We want to try to help be a resource for all those. Anyhow, like I said, please like and subscribe. We'd like to hit 1,000 subscribers here by June if possible. And we will see you in the next video. Get growing.